When we are spending more time on our phones, having, let's say, virtual relationships or relationships through technology versus the face-to-face with the people who are actually in our lives, there's a problem there. Welcome to Early Childhood and the Bible, where I empower Christian parents to reclaim their God-given role as primary spiritual leaders and educators of their children. I'm Ann Livingston, an early childhood educator of over 20 years and a lover of Jesus and His Word. And I'm here to come alongside you with biblical encouragement and practical tools so you can lead your children's hearts, minds, and spirits with confidence. In a world that's pulling hard for your child's attention, you have been entrusted by God to shape their faith, their values, and their worldview. Here you'll find simple ways to weave discipleship into your everyday life, model a vibrant walk with Jesus, and guide your children into their own relationship with Him. You don't need a degree, a perfect home, or all the answers, just a willing heart and the Word of God. Let's take back the role God has entrusted to you and raise up the next generation to love Him and live for Him. So today we're going to talk about the love language of quality time. And just a reminder that if your child is under 5 years old, often you can't see exactly what their primary love language is. However, even if you know what your child's primary love language is, keep in mind that your child still benefits from every single one of these love languages. Same thing in all of your relationships. I think it's probably rare to find a child who doesn't crave some sort of quality time with their parents. And so I even saw this in my teaching years when I was in the classroom, and I see it now with the students that I work with. When children are deprived of good quality time and quality attention from their parents, we see an uptick in attention-seeking behavior. And so I tell parents all the time, to a child, all attention feels like love. It does not matter to them, and they're not doing it consciously. It's a subconscious thing. They don't even realize that they're doing it. But when they are acting out, they know that, well, I can't get my mom's attention any other way. I can't get my dad's attention any other way. For me, it was like, I can't get my teacher's attention any other way. So I will act out because I know in the acting out, I am guaranteed to get a response. I am guaranteed to get attention. So even though with that usually comes a consequence or some sort of attention that they don't necessarily want, but it is still attention. So if you are seeing kind of like an uptick in behavior, an uptick in attention-seeking behavior, pay attention. And like I have stated multiple times, all behavior is communication. So their behavior is trying to communicate, or they are trying to communicate to you through their behavior because they don't have the words, they don't even have the understanding, right? They don't have the understanding of what it is that they're actually trying to get. So helping them to understand and validating, you can validate the process, you can validate what they're attempting without validating the behavior. So I was actually having a conversation about this in a different way, but with someone in my life, and I was sharing with them that there comes a time where even if the outcome doesn't change or the outcome can't change, there's still something to be said for creating a safe space to be able to express your feelings, express your emotions, express your opinion about whatever is going on, and have that validated back to you. It may not change the outcome, right? So in this certain circumstance, and quality time is one of my primary love languages. So it matters to me. So when I'm not getting quality time with someone who deeply matters to me, I can see how it plays out in my own behavior. So I was having this conversation and I was explaining to them, it's not even so much that I needed the outcome to change. I understand that plans had to change, and that is what it is. But just being able to share with you that I don't like the fact that plans had to change because it removes quality time. That's what it was. That's what was getting to me, right? It removes quality time. And now because I don't have this quality time, I'm upset about it. I understand the outcome can't change. I just need to be able to share with you, I don't like it. And it was reflected back to me, right? It was validated, like, yep, that's valid. It's valid that you don't like that plans changed. And so things have to be done differently. And so I think a lot of times children need that as well. You will probably find, like, it's hard to do an early childhood podcast without us also reflecting on our own wounds. So I pray that as you're listening to these episodes, that you're also able to see how it is potentially showing up in your own behavior and in your relationships within your life. A lot of times, the behaviors that we're even seeing in our adult lives are consequences of things either being, wounds from our childhood or things that are unhealed from our childhood. They're soul wounds. Our soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. And a lot of those things are affected when we're children. So you will see as you parent your children that things are coming up for you as well. I've had parents say to me, man, being a parent is really challenging me. Like, the sanctification process in having children is hard, just like the sanctification process in being married is hard. It's way easier, not that sanctification is ever easy, but it's way easier to be sanctified because the Lord is the Holy Spirit's the one who does it, right? It's much easier to be sanctified when we are in our own little bubble and we're not in relationship with other people. But God created us for relationship. He has placed us in families. He has placed us in church bodies. He has placed us in friendships. He has placed us obviously in relationship with Him. He created us for relationship because some things can only come to the surface to be healed when we are in relationship with other people. So that wasn't in my notes. That's a freebie for whoever needs it. I need it as well. So yeah, you'll see that in the quality time love language, this is often where we see a lot of the attention-seeking behavior in children. The author says, when a child's love tank is empty and attention is the only thing that will fill it, that child will go to almost any length to get what she needs or to get what he needs. You will see that. And so I have encouraged the families that I work with, if their children have quality time as the primary love language, I encourage them, give your child 15 minutes of uninterrupted focus, whether it's conversation, whether it is playing a game together, whether it is, doing some sort of activity with them that they really enjoy. Let them choose. Give them 15 minutes without your phone, without TV, without having to tend to other things around the home. And then after that, go do what it is that you need to do. Communicate with them, obviously, what it is that you're going to do. Sometimes it can also be helpful, like if they don't know when they're going to get that quality time again, because maybe this is a new thing in your relationship, communicate to them when they will get it again. So that kind of helps put things at ease when they know, okay, mom has to go cook dinner. Dad has to go to work, whatever it may be. But I know that when dad comes home from work, or after mom goes to pick up my brother and sister from school, or, whatever the case may be, I have something to look forward to, and I'm guaranteed that I'm going to have another, 15 minutes or whatever of uninterrupted time. So start planning those times, building those times, be intentional with those times, be committed to those times. Your child is paying attention to your integrity? Are you doing what you say you're going to do? Are you following through with your word? Are you letting your yes be yes and your no be no? They're watching all of those things. They're developing a sense of trust because of those things. Are they able to trust what it is that you say you're going to do? It matters. So to a child, it doesn't matter whether the attention is positive or negative. All attention feels like love. Now, from an adult perspective, because again, there is a parallel between children's behavior and how we behave sometimes, right? Especially when there are unhealed wounds. So I know that it was much worse. It was much worse before I came to Christ, but I've even seen it in my current walk where I have to be really intentional and mindful of it. It's easy if someone's love language is quality time and what they're looking for is uninterrupted, focused time. So just like a child may have attention-seeking behavior, the same can show up in an adult who is constantly creating conflict or creating issues, because it may be the only time where they're able to get the attention of another person. They're able to get that uninterrupted, focused time. They don't realize that that's why they're doing it, or the benefit, right? It's like, what is the benefit of the behavior? What are they actually receiving from behaving this way? What is the reward? On the surface, it may not look like there's a reward, but there's some sort of reward that they're getting from behaving in that way. What is the reward that they're getting? Where are they getting their love tank filled, even if it's in a twisted way? It's fascinating once you start looking at it through that lens. So, like I said, quality time is focused, undivided attention. 15 minutes of undivided attention will do more for a child whose love language is quality time than 2 hours of distracted time together. So again, put the phone down, turn off the TV, pause the chores, and just spend time with your child. Now, even if you have, let's say, 2 or 3 children and all of their love languages are quality time, how they want to spend that quality time is going to be different. The author says, in a society where people are increasingly spectators rather than participants, focused attention from parents is all the more critical. Think about when you go out to dinner. If you go out to dinner, how often do you see a family on their phones? When you are driving, let's say you're stopped at a stoplight and there's 2 people in a car together, how often is one of them on the phone? Like, so often, and we're all guilty of this, especially in how prevalent technology is in our world, right? And it's not that technology is evil. It's not that we can't use technology, but when we are so addicted to our phones and we are so addicted to the comfort of the TV screen, and we're so addicted to social media or relationships, and they're not actually relationships, right? But it's like we create this narrative in our head based off of what we see on social media. I have friends who live all across the country. So I have relationships and friendships with people who it's through the phone because we're not physically present. So that's the blessing in technology. But when we are spending more time on our phones, having, let's say, virtual relationships or relationships through technology versus the face-to-face with the people who are actually in our lives, there's a problem there. And what I see over and over and over again is that it's affecting our children. And so the relationship that you have with your phone, your child is going to learn how to have a relationship with their phone at some point based off of what you model to them. And subconsciously, what they begin to learn is that phone, whatever is on it, that phone is more important than me. That's what the child is learning. That's what your children are learning. If you have several children and if their love language is quality time, not only are they going to have like different ways that they're going to want to spend that quality time, but it's also important that you spend individual time with each of them. So don't just say, oh, well, all three of my kids have quality time, therefore we're just all going to spend quality time together. Now that's important. There is importance to having quality time as a family. Sit down for family dinners. Sit down and have breakfast together. When you're home on the weekends, sit down and have lunch together. Maybe you do have, a movie night. I'm not saying don't ever sit in front of a screen. I mean, I have fond memories of my childhood where we had movie night, every Friday night was movie and pizza. I have fond memories of that. Play games together, go on walks together, go on day trips together, explore new restaurants together, or whatever the case may be, have quality time together. So having quality time as a family is important. But if your children, let's say all of their love languages are quality time, make sure that you are also spending individual time with each of them. So quality time not only means doing things together, but it's also a means for knowing your child better. As you spend time with your children, you will find that a natural result often is good conversation about everything related to your lives. It's important to start building this now when they're young, so that when they become older, when they become teenagers, that relationship has already been built, and they are more apt to come talk to you as teenagers if it's been developed as young children. If you're not investing the time now when they're young, do not expect that when they're teens, they're just going to automatically come talk to you. They will find friends. Most likely they'll go to their friends first, and their friends obviously don't have the wisdom. Their friends may not have the biblical worldview, so their friends probably won't be leading them in the right direction. They may have mentors, they may have teachers, but again, depending on the worldview of those adults, or they will go straight to their phone, right? So if you've been modeling to them that your phone is more important, they're going to do the same thing, and they will find things on their phone to disciple them. So there are ways that this looked like for me when I was younger. My parents were divorced. My dad got us every other weekend, and then on Mondays we would spend the evening with him, for dinner, and then he would bring us back home to my mom's house. I don't know the love languages of my brothers, but like I said, I know that quality time has been one of mine for a long time, right? And so because I was the youngest, so because my school got out earlier, my dad would pick me up first from school, and then we would go get my brothers from school. And I loved that because I got access to my dad first. I got to have quality time with my dad first. So he would pick me up. I immediately got to share with him about my day. I didn't have to compete with my brothers to be able to talk, because a lot of times as the only girl, I was, that's just, I think that's often how brothers are, but I was often kind of, silenced and shut down. I know that my brothers would say that that wasn't the case, that I took over a lot, and sometimes I did, for sure. I knew how to work my way in to be able to get my voice into the conversation. But that was the blessing for me. That was the blessing and the privilege of being picked up first, was I kind of got to set the tone. That also involved being able to, I got to choose the radio station, and once we had CD players and whatnot in the car, I had my music with me. So music is one way that I have always communicated with people. I've been a musician pretty much my entire life. And it's not just the musical aspect, but the lyrics. I'm also a writer. So those things going hand in hand, it was like I would relate to songs that would express things that I didn't necessarily have the voice for, or didn't really have the words for, right? And so that was important to me. So again, my dad picking me up from school, or when he and I would have one-on-one time in the car, I was always sharing music with him, because it was a way to and as a teenager. So those of you who have kids who are teens, pay attention to what they're listening to and maybe invite them to share their music with you, because you will begin to learn a lot about what's actually going on in their lives. The things that they may not have words to share, maybe they don't want to share it, maybe it feels safer to share it through a song. Pay attention to that. And then, of course, we didn't have cell phones when I was little, but even something as simple as like we would watch a movie together, and my recollection is that most of the time, now if my dad was a pastor. When you're in ministry, you're kind of on call all the time. But my recollection was that he did a pretty good job of allowing the phone to ring and then allow it to go to, obviously we had answering machines back then. We had, the phone on the wall on the answering machine. But he would allow it to go to the answering machine, and he would, kind of listen out. If it wasn't an emergency, he would let it go. He only answered the phone when we were having quality time together if it was an emergency. So that's important too. Like screen your phone calls, screen your text messages. You can even, I don't know how it is on Androids, but on iPhones, you can put it on Do Not Disturb, but then you can have certain phone numbers or certain, like certain people that you can put as favorites, or that you allow their numbers to come through. If you need to make sure that emergencies can still come through, or certain phone calls or whatnot still come through, you can do that, but everyone else gets shut down. All other notifications get shut down. Now that I am an adult, I still have weekly FaceTime with my dad and stepmom, and they live most of the year in Italy, so I don't get to see them very often. We don't have like that in-person quality time, so that would be a blessing of technology, right? But it's when it's used intentionally and not used as the source of comfort when the Holy Spirit is the comforter, or used as a source of just kind of checking out from your day. Mindless scrolling does nothing. So we continue, my parents and I, my dad and stepmom and I continue to have that quality time every single week via FaceTime. And if one of us isn't able to make it, which is very rare, we find a time to reschedule. If we can't reschedule, then, it is what it is. But so this goes back to when I was saying, if your child doesn't know when they can expect that quality time, you're going to see an uptick in behavior. But once they learn, once the trust has been built of, I know, so in this example, right, I know every Friday morning I'm going to have FaceTime with my dad and stepmom. I know every Friday morning I'm going to get to hear about their lives. They're going to get to hear about my life. If I want to share something with them, I know that I will have the floor to speak. And even if we have to miss a week, and even if we can't find another day that week, let's say we have to miss the week, it's going to be 2 weeks. Okay, well, I know that 2 weeks from now, I'll still get to have that face-to-face time. Now, of course, we still text. I still share things with them. It's not like there's no communication during that time. But I don't have feelings about it. Like, I'm not offended. I don't feel rejected when we have to miss a week, because this has been for years now, probably going on about 12 years now that we've been doing this every single week. So that has created, not only has it deepened the relationship, but it has created a level of trust that I know they're going to do what they say they're going to do. They're going to show up. And then sometimes they forget what day it is, or they forget what time it is, or whatnot, and so I have grace for that. I'm not upset about it. Like I said, not offended, but because they've been so intentional over the years. So it's the same thing with your children. It's all for children whose love language is quality time. It's always going to be about quality over quantity. So you might say, oh my gosh, but I spend hours, right? Like, especially let's say you're a stay-at-home mom. Oh my gosh, I spend hours a day with my children. Yes, but is it quality time? Are you present? Do you put the phone aside? do you spend quality time? Do you ask them questions? Do you engage in conversation? Do you show them that you're interested? So if quality time is your child's primary love language, you can be sure of this. Without a sufficient supply of quality time and focused attention, your child will experience a gnawing uneasiness that his parents do not really love him. And your children may not even be aware of it. Like, they may be aware of the uneasiness. And so it's in that uneasiness, they're trying to get, like, if even on a subconscious level, like, man, I don't even know if mom loves me. I don't know if dad loves me. There's going to be this gnawing uneasiness. And so again, they're acting out because they're trying to get that affirmation, that confirmation, that assurance that, like, oh yeah, mom does really love me. Dad does really love me. And so you will see this often shows up and feels like insecurity and rejection to them. And if it doesn't get resolved, it could, I'm not saying 100%, but it could open the door to a spirit of rejection. Okay, so what are some ideas for quality time? Instead of waiting until all your chores are done before spending time with your child, include them in your daily activities such as laundry, grocery shopping, or yard work. Though it may take longer, the time together will make up for the inconvenience. Stop what you are doing and make eye contact with your child as they tell you something important. This is so important. Again, I just put the phone down. We're all guilty of this. I don't even have children of my own, but we are all guilty of this in every relationship that we have. It is so common to have the phone in our hands, and it's like, put the phone down and make eye contact and listen to what the other person is telling you, but especially when it comes to your children. Turn off your television show to watch your child's favorite show with them. Go to the toy store and play with some fun toys with no intention of buying anything, and I would say communicate that up front. Tell them on the way, hey, by the way, we're not buying anything. We're just going to go play. That way they at least know the expectation ahead of time. Ask very specific questions about your child's day that do not have a yes or no answer. You will also find if you just ask, how was your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. What'd you learn? Nothing. You have to ask very specific questions. When taking your younger children to a park or playground, spend the time actually playing with them instead of watching from the park bench. Pushing your daughter on the swing or riding the slide with your son creates lifelong memories and communicates love. Instead of screen time, focus on arts such as singing together or finger painting. Schedule a specific date time with each of your children individually. Put it in your calendar and don't allow other priorities to take its place. Surprise your child with tickets or a trip to a special place. If possible, take your child to your workplace one day. That was always so fun for me. I loved when my parents would take me to their workplace. They used to have that. They used to have take your child to work day. I don't know if they still have that, but that was one of my favorite days. I loved missing school to be able to go to work with my parents. Set aside a special place in the house where you go to play. Involve older children in vacation planning, researching on the internet together. Have a camp out together, even if it's simply a tent in your yard. Include flashlights and special camp foods to make the event complete. Occasionally take family walks or bike rides together. Share more meals together as a family. Spend a few extra minutes putting your child to bed at night. Bedtime stories, talking about the day, or praying together at night. For older children, spend time doing homework together. Now, I will say, as a tutor, I understand, parents hire me, not necessarily because they don't want to spend the time with their children, but because they're like, I don't know how to help my child. So there's nothing wrong, obviously, with hiring a tutor. But if there's homework that you can do with them, do the homework together. Plant something together. Make photo albums together on your computer and talk together about the memories you shared in the process. On a rainy day, sit in the same room and read quietly, each of you with your own book or magazine. So that is it. That's all I have for you today on quality time. If you would like to get your free guide on understanding your child's behavior, there will be a link in the show notes. You can also go to faithfulfoundation.co, and it's right on the front page. If you also want to get in the habit of speaking life over your child, you can also go to the link in the show notes for my 30-day of speaking life over your child devotional. It's also on my website under the shop tab. Have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next week. If this episode blessed you, please subscribe, comment, and share it with another parent who is trying to raise godly children in an ungodly world.